Hello, everyone. My name is Marva B. I am the CEO and founder of Black Link Magazine, and we are so excited to be here. We are a national publication and we are everywhere. We're everywhere. We have our special guest, Miss Ellia English, with us today. Miss Ellia, thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for having me, Marva. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So we'll just jump right into this interview and get started. So I mean, listen, everyone knows who you are. They know the face. As I was promoting this interview, there's like, oh my gosh, I got to see it. So you don't have to tell them who you are because we already kind of follow you and know who you are.
I
But
appreciate that.
yes, but you are an amazing actress. You've done a lot of things, a lot of things. So I want to just jump right in and start talking about your recurring role as Auntie Rae on the Curb Your Enthusiasm. So I hear it's coming back. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yes, Auntie Rae is back, and Curb Your Enthusiasm is now in its 12th season. Now, I started with them in 2006, and the Blacks, we are called Auntie Rae Black, and her niece Loretta Black, which was played by Vivica Fox, and her nephew Leon Black, played by Jamie Smooth, and then my grandnephew, oh gosh, what was his name? His character was Daryl, and it was played by Nick Nervies, and then her grandniece was Keisha, played by Carla Jeffries. And so we all moved in with the Larry Davis family, and he and his wife Cheryl took us in. We were a displaced family that had been affected by a hurricane. Remember, it was sort of around that time the Hurricane Katrina happened. And
Right.
so, of course, the JB Smooth character, my nephew Leon, he didn't move in from the displaced place we came. He was already living in California. But when he heard his family had moved in with Larry David, he moved in too. And he's the one that never left.
Right. We have those, right? We have those in real life. Yeah, so what was it like working with like Vivica Fox and working with JD Smith? Like, what was the experience like?
Amazing. It was wonderful because here's one of the perks about the Curb Your Enthusiasm show. It is not scripted. Everything is ad lib. So it's an improv show. And so what we do, we're told what they want the story to be about, what the scene, what's going to be happening, what may take place, that type of thing. And then it's up to us to come up with the dialogue with each other once we start to film the scene. And what I loved when we first started was that when we would do camera rehearsals, we didn't want to say any words because we didn't want to not have it fresh when the camera started. So we would just start talking to each other saying yada 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 yada, and that was our dialogue. And then when the camera started, we broke out with everything. And in Curb Your Enthusiasm, anything goes, as it
Right.
were. It was the hardest thing was to make sure you didn't laugh and ruin the scene. You didn't want to be the one to laugh and ruin the scene. You wanted to stay in that moment and whatever came, let it come and keep it rolling. It's such a fun show to do. And I'm grateful to be a part of season 12.
Yay, yay. So I was gonna bring that up that it was improv. So like I know I believe that the Jamie Foxx show, just for example, was a scripted show.
It
So
was a scripted show,
when
yes.
you talk about improv, how difficult or not, you have to be really skilled, I think, to do that.
To be able that you've got to be able to act on your toes, as we call it. You got to be on your toes on you because you never know what's coming at you. But since you brought up the Jamie Foxx show, here's the funny part about that is we had a scripted show. However, the producers were, as long as we were able to get everything scripted, all the changes, everything they wanted into the can, as we call it, that it was filmed and it was set, then they'd give us some takes where we could just improv. And we had a ball. And most of the time, the improvisational scenes we did was what made the final cut. So that was great. But Jamie, it was hard trying not to laugh with him
I was
too.
gonna,
He and JB Smooth. I mean, come on.
I know,
Those
I
guys.
was gonna say, like, who can keep a straight face with Jamie Foxx? Like, how did you do that?
And
He,
he just keep upping the ante and upping the ante. So that was great. But I'd had training before Jamie because I started out in theater. And
Right.
theater pretty much, I did musical theater, and then I did some plays, but in musical theater or in theater period, first of all, you've got to be able to reach the back of the house.
Right.
Secondly, anything can happen. A set cannot drop when it's supposed to. An actor cannot come in when they're supposed to. A costume cannot work the way it's supposed to. And you got to keep that show going because these people just paid their money. It's a live audience and they're there to get a live good show. And
Yeah.
so that's where I truly learned my first test of improvisation. I remember a show I did, it was in Washington, D.C. at the Ford Theater. It was called Nonsense, right? And this actress who, I mean, my goodness, she was from a movie called Auntie Rae, and she played Agnes Gooch. And I'd seen that movie. And so, of course, now I'm doing this show in the theater where Lincoln was shot. And now I'm also working with this actress who was in Auntie Rae that I loved her character.
Wow.
So I'm intimidated with that. But because she was a much older actress, she experienced sometimes dropping her lines. And I had to learn some of her lines as well as how to direct her lines to make it sound like it was my line, but giving her the cue to get back into her line. And that was truly some training ground. So by the time I got to Jamie, I was kind of ready for him until he would just up that ante on
Yeah,
me.
so I was gonna say, like I don't know how you've played so many roles in different sets, different people being different, being Auntie Helen, being Auntie Rae, being a nurse, right? How
It's
does
true.
one come out of that character to prepare for another character, to only prepare for another character? How difficult or not is that?
That's a great question. And I do know that that's something I wanted to do. When I started in theater, I started in the musical Ain't Misbehaving. It was a Fats Waller musical. And most of it, the show was pretty much music and dance, music and dance. And we had like this moment where we would say, talk, sing things. And so when I wanted to do, I remember talking to my agent. Got an agent. Finally, you go and you want to do more. I wanted to do a play. And I was told that from my agent that the casting directors didn't consider musical theater performers real actors.
Oh,
And
wow.
I thought, what? So I said, okay, I'll fix them. I'm going to start taking acting classes. And that's what I did. And I even wanted to study Shakespeare. I mean, I remember I loved the Hamlet speech of speak the speech, I pray thee, as I pronounced it to thee, trippingly on the tongue. But if you mouth it as many as our players do, I had as lief the town crier spoke my lines. That's so I wanted to do those types of things. And that's when I landed a role of the nurse in Romeo and Juliet after
Oh,
that. And so once you get that acting bug, and then whenever I got an opportunity, I got to study, at the Huda Hagen School. I was in New York. I got to study under some great people, and I got to really understand the craft. And that's what I would recommend to anybody. If this is something you want to do, make sure you study your craft. Make
yes.
sure you study it, even if it's singing and you're a great singer. I remember when I was doing Ain't Misbehaving, they sent everybody to a voice teacher because people were losing their voice singing like that. But the voice teacher, she was trying to make me sing opera because she thought, oh my goodness, you got a beautiful voice, you shouldn't do that show because it'll ruin your voice. I mean, she had me singing things like Virginia, but I needed to be able to sing things like today's the day when all us cats will surely do our bit, we got to do our share. So I was like telling her, I need to know how to do that. I've got to sustain that for 8 performances a week. And I can't afford to do the opera because I can't do opera in Ain't Misbehaving. So I did, but it was wonderful to learn that God had extended my gift to be even able to do that. So I
Right.
say study. That's why I said Aunt Helen. I started out with Aunt Helen's rule, but now it's Ellia's. Ellia's rule is stay in school. And I don't just mean the schoolhouse from grade school to high school to college. And then when you want to get your doctorate, when we get into life, it's still a school. It's
Right.
the school of life. Always be learning. There is something we can always learn. And we learn a lot from working with our actors, working with our co-workers, and just working off of them. We learn listening skills, especially in that. And then when it comes to creating the different characters, That's what we learn in acting. You learn to break down those characters. You learn to give it a history. And then you bring a little bit of yourself to each one of those particular characters. And that's what even makes it more fresh for you. I know for me, I'll never forget, I was blessed to be able to play the role of Effie in Dreamgirls when I first moved to California at the Civic Light Opera House in Long Beach. And I'll never forget every night when we were doing when I would do the song, and we get to that end where the curtain is gonna come, the stage is gonna pull back and the curtain will close. When I was like, you're gonna love me, and then the curtains closed. After I'd been out there doing that show, before I would get up from my seat, I would say, I never want this to be my life. I'm acting. I have to remind myself, God, please never let this be my life. The stress and the strain and the struggle that Effie's character had to go through, that character of Effie. I mean, her best friend, sleeping with her boyfriend, the guy who was really not her boyfriend because he just wanted to it was crazy. And then she ended up having a kid. I was really young. I remember when I was in New York, I remember when I was in New York and they were doing the show, I'll never forget, I had auditioned for it then. And the casting director said to me, Ellia, you are great and you would really be great in the show. She said, but I have to tell you this, you're too young for the show. And I didn't understand what she meant because I was like, Jennifer and I are about the same age. What do you mean I'm too young to do the show? But there were some experiences that I needed to be able to do that show. And once I did it in Long Beach, I knew what she meant. That was a show that without that understanding could have probably had me in a crazy loony bin or something, because I had to know how to make myself understand that's not my life.
Right. Now that
So,
you said that, how difficult is it for you to pull out of a character? So I don't know the ins and outs, but I know that you have to practice and day in, day out being that person. But how do you, when that's off, it's off, and I'm back to Ellia.
yes. Well, here's the funny part about Auntie Rae, because I grew up, my father, by the time I was 16, my father became a pastor of a church, but we still grew up in the church. Okay. Right. So Curb Your Enthusiasm. And I grew up, now watch this, I grew up around grown-ups cursing. So it wasn't like I didn't know how to cuss, as we call it, but I didn't do it. We weren't able to swear. So my parents, even when we were little, I'd heard them swear a word once or two. So when I was doing Curb Your Enthusiasm, and that first time I came out and I was like, F you, Larry David, with your monkey, blah, 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 blah. And there was so much adrenaline going when we were doing that because it's all improv. When we finished and the camera said cut, and they were like saying, okay, we're going to go on to the next thing, I ran into one of the rooms and I closed the door by myself to decompress and to tell myself, I'm not going to get in any trouble. I'm not going to get in any trouble. This is not me. This is not my life. I'm just playing a character, because I was beginning to feel bad about it, because I was like, people are going to think that's me. No, you're playing Auntie Rae. That's not you. So you have to take that moment. And sometimes some actors, when you let yourself get really deep into a character, and you want to immerse yourself into a character, especially if you're playing somebody's life story, or and my thing is those dark characters. Woo, you better know how to come out of that.
Yeah, I hear that.
Cool, because if you don't, trust me, a part of that goes with you, and you won't be able to tell who is you and who's not. So that's what I know I've learned about being in this industry and about this type of field to do acting, because it's basically reacting, it's living, it's being in that moment, it's living that life, it's taking on the life of someone else, but putting your, kind of like if somebody said, well, if I could put myself in your shoes, or put yourself in my shoes, it's you literally putting yourself in someone else's shoes, but now you're seeing through their eyes, you're having their emotions, you're feeling, you're experiencing their lives, and it is not fun when that is not your life. Wow. And you don't want it to be your life. So
and then you have to detach to go home. You're done for the day. Like when they say cut, you have to detach from that.
Detach. That's why I said I would stand there. That was the end of the first act, was that one. And I would sit there before I would leave and go back to my dressing room. I would detach. I had to detach twice. I detached from that first act. Right. And then at the end of the show, while I was getting dressed, I detached from the second act. I didn't wait to detach from both, because that first one is so intense that I needed to remind myself, you're acting, baby, this is not you. So that then when I came back, I could still come back, still being her and still living it. But I think I'm trying to feel like, but none of this, like a residue isn't like staying on me, that when I leave, it'll still be a part of me. Does that make sense? It's almost, I'm thinking about that now. Wow, I can't believe I'm having this experience, but it was almost like cleansing myself.
I was talking to another actress and she said that she had left set and she went and she was in her car and she had to stop and get gas. And she played a deep role. And while she was playing gas, she thought that she had detached and she had not detached from that role. And at the gas pump, just crying. And people were like, she said, I know they thought I was crazy, but in that role, it was so dark and deep.
Oh, dark,
She
yes.
thought she detached and she didn't.
You gotta have your, I'll never forget, because I had an actor when I was not an actor, a director, when I was doing a play in Baltimore. It was called Colored Museum, actually, George Wolfe's Colored Museum. And there was this character called Topsy Washington. And I remember I said to the director, listen, I would love to explore this character wonderfully, but I need you to be my safety net. So when I go, once I get what you want, make sure you help to bring me back, because I don't want to take myself too far out on a limb. Well, this particular director loved what I was doing so much that he didn't. And I had to end up figuring out, because I had to sing and all of that, how to get a voice back, because I took that character to its limit and to its edge. And so I then had to learn how to get myself back. But in the meantime, I also had to learn how to get my voice back, because I had lost my voice and we hadn't even opened yet. That was a rehearsal. So I learned that day, I learned I'm going to have to know how to do that myself. I'm
Yeah.
going to have to learn how to put the brakes on.
Figure that
And
out.
then when the time comes, what do I have? What do I have in my arsenal that I can use, that a particular prayer, a quote, a mantra, something that brings me back to who I am.
Yeah.
That's what I use.
It's real life. Like that's real.
It is.
And it's
It's
your
real
job.
life.
That's your job. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Amen.
wow. So I hear that you can sing and you're gonna be singing along with acting still and doing some jobs.
Yes.
Tell us what you got that you can tell us or that you can share. What you have coming up.
Right now, I've got My Sisters and Me. It's a half-hour comedy about three generations of ageless and vivacious Black sisters who must live under the same roof without killing each other. And I play the me in My Sisters and Me, and we're on YouTube. And so what we're doing is we're presenting the show as webisodes of 2 to 3 minute webisodes every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time and 5 p.m. Pacific time. And we're just having a blast. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the fact that we're able to present it to people. I know they're going to love it. And if you want to find out more about it, you can either go to my Facebook page, and it's Ellia English, official Ellia English Facebook page. And then my Twitter page is called officially Ellia as well. But my Instagram is called Queen Ellia, because someone had set up an Instagram page in my name. And the
I
only
was
way
looking for your Instagram page. I couldn't find it.
exactly. The reason that's why I had to give it that name. When I found out that there was a page with my name in it, I was doing the movie Underdog Kids. And now I've got these children all running up to me saying, we're following you on Instagram. And I said to them, I am not on Instagram. And I said, listen, I need to talk to your parents and I need them to get you off of that. And that, so by the time I couldn't use my own name, I had to create a name. And so it's Queen Ellia on Instagram.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go follow you. I was hacked a couple of times and they got into my bank account. And I was like, oh gosh. So a couple of times, so like our numbers look crazy now, but I don't care. I'll take it one step at a time to be safe,
Very good. Yes.
than doing that other stuff. So I'm just so forever grateful to you for being here. I hope that you accept the offer to be in our magazine. We want to do a spread for you.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
So just when we get off, we can talk about that really quick.
You got it. Okay.
Before we go, what do you have one of the roles that out of everything that you've played, any favorites?
See, I go, always start the answer to that question with, "You're probably not going to believe me, but truly, all of them are my favorite." And the reason I say that is because they are all different, and they all have something that they bring, that they bring to me and that I bring to them. And so it's like asking you which child is your favorite.
Yeah, and you
You
can't
know,
do
at
that.
that there you go. At that moment that you're with that child, you love that particular one as much as when you're with the other one. None of them are your favorite, but if the issue problems when you got them all together, and now each one of them are like, "Well, mom, I'm your favorite, and I'm your favorite," and you're trying to
Yes,
say, "Yeah, but you're
yes.
you're right." But with my character, the roles that I've played from when I even started in theater up to when I finally landed that role of the nurse in Romeo and Juliet. I mean, I still think about her, and I still think, of course, Aunt Helen. There was so much that she brought to me.
Yes,
I
we
was able
love
to bring to
her.
her. You see, and it was like she was a joy to play the role in, what was it? Good Luck. What was it? Yeah, Good Luck Chuck, that nurse who was like, "Look, he looks like he can, he's making people get married. Let me go on and get me a husband. Come on, why don't you do me too, right?" And so it was wonderful. And then of course, the underdog kids, where I was like selling the hot dogs, had this little hot dog stand, and I
Yeah.
invested in the kids so that they could go to the competition. But I had their teacher out with me promoting, talking about hot dogs. We selling Big Mama's hot dogs, So it's so wonderful to curb your enthusiasm of playing Auntie Rae, where she just lets it all hang out. She doesn't care. So
Yeah.
she brings power to me and strength to me, going, "Hey, I'm going to be a little bit more like her." And
Yeah.
then, of course, now the me, which they play the character, is called Ellia. And
Yes.
so playing the
Oh,
me and my sisters and me, where I get to actually, you get to see really a little bit of me in
okay.
it, because really I'm more shy. I grew up kind of very shy. How I got into this industry was, it was ordained, and it was where I'm supposed to be,
Right.
because I am joyful. I do love doing it. I do love play acting. I did it as a kid. And so it's wonderful to just bring different characters to life. So right at this point in time, I haven't met her.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. It is national, international. We're celebrating women internationally all over the globe. So
Yay.
your flowers and celebrate you today. And
Thank
thank you
you.
for being here. And again, we here at Black Link Magazine, we support you, we follow you, and we love seeing you on our TVs and in our homes.
I
So thank you.
appreciate you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you all for the love. I love the love.
Yeah, you guys go out and follow Miss Ellia English on Instagram now. Remember, it's Queen Ellia. All right, you guys, this has been a joy. And again, I appreciate you. You guys go out and follow her. We're gonna go for now, you guys. But remember, respect yourself, respect each other. God bless.
Amen. God bless. Thank you. Have a good one, guys.